Welcome to episode 6 of Last Licks. Really, really busy week in the sports world because we have some things in the NBA. Obviously, the NBA season is in full swing. We have NFL free agency starting, some big news with that, some news with the MLB a little bit. We're going to be giving our full predictions for the upcoming MLB season because it's starting very, very soon. And there's a little bit of boxing news. We can discuss the recap of the AJ versus Nagano fight and this bizarre thing going on with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But let's get first into the NBA as we always do. The first thing really to talk about to me is this whole thing with the Nuggets and Celtics from last week. And the Nuggets went in, they beat the Celtics, and Tatum. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm gonna let Nick go because this is your realm.
It's frustrating to watch time and time again. You have these two guys, you got Brown and Tatum, that's supposed to be the core of your team. And if just looking from the outside in, you're supposed to have these two guys playing together in unison, showing up to the extent that they can show up each night, and it just never happens. And as a Celtics fan, that's just where the biggest frustration stems from. It's the fact that you either have a Tatum night or you have a Brown night. They don't ever show up at the same time, and they're not putting up 25 apiece each. It's just frustrating to see when one of them's not performing, the other one always is, and then it's just not enough. The biggest frustration here is Celtics going 0-3 against the Nuggets in the regular season. And for me, I would say as a Celtics fan, it's time to panic because you've seen them throw away incredible, easily past the finals year after year. But if you're the Celtics, I think you have to keep a level ahead, not be worried going into the finals. If this is who you're going to end up matching up with, you have to kind of just put it in the back of your head and let it be. Go in like it's a fresh start. You guys, any takes?
At least you're losing to probably the MVP this year.
That's true. That's a very good point. But if this is the team that you're going to be matched up with in the finals, I mean, you'd currently be down 3-0, facing a sweep. Not ideal.
No. I mean, if we just take a look real quick at the box score from that game, because the main thing is you want to see how does your team play against them.
Yeah.
The Celtics were fully healthy. There was no they're missing.
There's no
the starting lineups there. So there's nothing to talk about with that. The Nuggets, on the other hand, fully healthy as well. Jokic dropped 32 points, 11 assists, 12 rebounds. Shot incredibly efficient. Didn't even attempt a three.
Yeah.
So the whole idea that Porzingis is going to come in, and Porzingis did play well. He had 24 points.
No, he didn't. He was 9 for 23.
I mean, I'm saying points-wise.
He put the numbers up, but the
efficiency wasn't great. I mean, it's like, 40%. It was a lot better than Tatum, 5 for 13.
A lot better than Tatum. Yeah.
And
5 for 13 was like 2 for 10.
Yeah. When it mattered.
Picked it up
and he choked, and it's really what
the wide open look. He had the wide open look to win the game.
When it comes down to the playoffs, you're going to need this guy to do, to make those shots because those shots are going to be available to him in those types. It's even more pressure situation. It's not a regular season game. So you're going to need him to perform, and I don't know if he will. I really don't. And that's my biggest concern for the Celtics because talent-wise, if they play how they should play, they should walk to a championship. I think
on paper, nobody stopped them.
Walk to a championship. But I don't think I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, I did pick them to win the finals. I think it will happen actually, but I'm just concerned for them.
Like I said, my words of the later it gets in the playoffs, the scarier the Celtics are to watch. When the pressure's up and high and everyone's watching, it always looks like Tatum forgets how to play basketball.
You just gotta end the season on a good note.
That's what you're hoping.
I mean, the Celtics did recover after that. They won 2 games after that game against the Nuggets. They beat the Suns. Good job.
Yeah, no, they bounced back. The big thing in the Celtics fandom right now is like everybody thinks this team's just garbage all of a sudden after you lose one game. I mean, I think it was before this. The Celtics hadn't lost since early February, I think it was. And you drop a game and you bounce back. I mean, they're still the best record in the league. They still have the most talent in the league. They're still the favorites to win. I mean, a loss sucks, especially to a team like the Nuggets, but come playoff time, that's where it's going to matter.
Yeah, it's concerning, but I think ultimately, it's gonna come down to, can you get Brown and Tatum playing at a high level come playoff time?
At the same time.
Again, at the same time, where last season Tatum actually did okay in the playoffs. He did well.
Mhm.
Brown was the one who was horrible.
Yep.
So, it really just, you don't know what you're getting from these guys. And to be honest, I mean, still Vegas still has the Celtics walking away going to the finals. They have them as a minus 110 going to the finals. That's impressive. That means you're just it's more likely that you're going to go to the finals than you're not, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens,
It's a weird way to look at this, but I think the Celtics are the least consistent team in the league from player to player, but it doesn't really show through because of the fact that if Brown's inconsistent and Tatum's inconsistent, they're like mutually consistent, if that makes any sense.
You're getting something
one
from
person's playing,
someone.
one person's not. Exactly. They have enough talent on their team for one person to show up.
Yeah. I don't know.
But come
We'll
playoff
see.
time, that's what's going to matter.
I mean, well, in terms of someone who is playing well for the regular season, we know Celtics are fine too, but someone else who has played well is Luka. He's been putting
He's
up some
rolling.
insane numbers, 6 straight 30-point triple doubles, but the Mavs go 3-3 in that stretch.
Yeah.
Probably runner-up MVP.
Here's
Yeah, I mean, the guy's putting up crazy numbers, but all that matters is, do you win? I mean, basketball is a team sport. Any sport's a team sport.
and this is the thing about Luka. Why Luka will never be, a top 10 player in NBA history, in my opinion. Why I don't think he could ever be that. You look at every single one of those guys, with the exception of Curry, who is maybe top 10. I would say probably like 10 or whatever.
He'll probably get there.
He could.
Yeah, he'll crack it.
Well,
if he finishes strong.
Well, Curry for sure, I'm saying.
Mhm.
But Luka to get to top 10 player in NBA history, right?
Gotta win.
Their basketball has two sides of the ball. There's offense.
Yeah.
Luka might be, like, on terms of offense, a top 10 talent that we've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
In the game right now. Nobody's putting up 30-point triple doubles like this. Incredible. He's a negative defender. He's not good at playing defense. That's the big difference, because he's putting up better offensive numbers than LeBron was at the same age, right? But the difference was LeBron was making all NBA defense first teams, all NBA defense second teams. He was really, really getting that defense of impact in. Obviously, he had good defenders around him. Luka is a horrible defender, and that's the reason why LeBron could be putting up, similar for the, obviously it's like inflation adjusted, but it's like pace adjusted. LeBron and Luka are putting up pretty much the same numbers offense wise, young LeBron versus Luka now. But LeBron was able to carry teams to 60 wins, NBA Finals appearances, consistent conference Finals appearances. Luka can't do that because Luka's just not a good defender.
It's interesting you say that, because I'm looking at the box scores right now. Even putting up a 30-point triple-double, Luka was still a minus 18 in one of their losses. I got to just check and see what the numbers were for the others, but I mean putting up that stat.
It's also crazy though that you're comparing LeBron to anyone with pretty much athletic ability besides Vince Carter, I would say, who played a long year. Like, Luka is just not that athletic if you're comparing to LeBron. So the defense is not gonna be there. LeBron is flying all over the court, literally putting 110 in every play with his size and speed. It's just gonna be different.
But I'm not saying he has to
I know
be
his efficiency is just not there. Like, the plus minus, that's a little ridiculous if you're putting up 36 points.
Against the Celtics, he had a plus minus of minus 20.
Yeah, that's that.
And one of his losses. They lost by 28.
Okay, so he was,
I would say that's not very good.
The entire Mavericks team was minus, though, except for Dante Exum, who had a plus minus of 0.
Nice.
No, but here's the thing, though, about
Aussie boy.
Yeah, here's the thing about defense is yes, I know Luka isn't gonna ever be a physically talented defender. It's very difficult to do that sometimes. There's some guys that can't do that. But here's like a great comparison is Larry Bird. Because Larry Bird and Luka have almost identical body frames. I think Larry was
Yeah.
6'9", Luka is like 6'7", 6'8". Similar, not very athletic guys. Obviously, they're both white, so that's why everyone compares them. But it's like
Yep.
they have similar play styles in a lot of ways. And obviously, Luka's a little more ball dominant. But Larry Bird made all defensive teams because he was a smart team defender and knew how to play in a defensive system. Obviously, Bird wasn't guarding, and we're gonna get into this. We're done with the '90s
I
thing.
was
We're
just
gonna get
about to
into,
say,
but
you
Bird
want to talk
wasn't.
about the 90s?
We'll talk about that.
Want to talk about the 90s?
We'll talk about that. But the thing with Bird was he wasn't playing, against super athletic point guards. I understand that, but he was still a very smart team defender. Luka isn't really putting in like the effort on defense that you see other guys play who are not as same level of talent on defense. You just need more effort from him and be smart within a team defense setting. Don't be this guy who just is like not doing anything out there.
The traffic cone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call Luka a traffic cone, but he's not a talent on defense.
I would call those 90s players traffic cones.
Well, get into it. That's a good transition. We can roll into it right here.
That's all I was thinking about when Paul said Larry Bird. I'm like, don't get too strung up on the 90s, baby.
All right, Jake, take the floor. Take the floor. You want to lead this one?
I just think this is one of the stupidest trends going on in TikTok. It's like borderline ridiculous.
I'm with you too.
I saw the funniest nitpick of a video of all time. It was some kid I think it was Jordan's game 5 against the Lakers. And he's like, I'm going to break down every play of whether it goes to the left side or the right side. And I was like, dude, this was like one game. It was like pretty much defense. The matchup didn't work. Like there was just so many things nitpicked and like taken out of it was crazy.
Real quick, I think the video you're talking about was actually game 1 of the NBA Finals where the Bulls were off for like 6 days.
It was against the Lakers, so yeah, it might have been
6 or 7 days.
Is either game 1 or 5, but yeah, I was like, dude, come on.
It's choosing to look at certain aspects and choosing to not look at a lot of other aspects. It's very nitpicky. I think it's very childish to really have this stance. Truly, listen, it's funny as hell. I won't lie, but
the only thing I didn't
truly back it.
The only thing I didn't realize was the defensive rule back then of when it changed. Like I'm not that big. Like the double teams, like you couldn't really double team. I didn't really know that.
You couldn't. You had to play man at that time. You had to play man,
crazy. Like, but you were able to hand check, which I guess
they didn't have a defensive 3 seconds.
Yes, that was the other thing as well. So it was a different era. But again, on that note, it was a different era. I think the best way that you have to do this is it's unfair. I know, yes, people are always going to compare people of different eras to people of different eras. It's human nature to do that and say who's the best of all time, all that. But it's really tough to do, to look at somebody from a time when the game was in a lesser state, it was played differently, to really try and pit them against somebody of our era now. It's a completely different game. The way that the game has evolved, or the way that the game has changed, is completely different, and the talent's also through the roof. It's the way that sports evolve, all sports.
It's the pace of the game, obviously. It's game plans. But here's the thing that I kind of... You can look and sit and watch any player in the NBA and watch their lowlights, and you could just sit there and say, trash! Damn, we're so done with the 2010s. You could sit there and do that with anybody. And here's the thing. I'm the first guy to say, Michael Jordan faced easier competition than LeBron. I'm the first one to say that. And I think LeBron is the greatest of all time. Some people think Jordan, and I don't really have an issue with that. I only started thinking LeBron was the GOAT once he passed Kareem for the all-time leader in points, and I just think it was too much in the counting stats. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that, like, you took Michael Jordan in his prime and put him in the NBA today. he would be the best player in the NBA right now. Would he win 6 championships in today's era? No. Nobody would.
Yeah.
There's not
Depends
a
who he's with.
Depends.
You would need help in today's era. That's how basketball works now.
Even Kobe needed Lamar Odom in his 5th championship.
Well, he had Pau Gasol.
I know.
Yeah, Lamar Odom too.
Yeah. But Lamar Odom was a good player at that time.
Before he took crack.
They were good, Bynum. They had a good team. Everybody has, help. And MJ had help too. He had Scottie Pippen, who's a top 25 greatest player to ever play the game. Dennis Rodman, one of the greatest defenders of all time, greatest rebounder.
In all of Jordan's championship wins, Pippen led them in assists, rebounds, and steals. The only thing he didn't lead them on was points. That was MJ, obviously.
So obviously, everybody needs help. No, there's not a player. I can't think of one player in NBA history. Maybe with the exception of Hakeem, that dragged the team to an NBA championship, meaning you win without an actual good help. You know what I mean? Without a good supporting cast. Hakeem had a decent supporting cast, but who's his second best? I mean, he had Clyde for his second title, but for his first one in '94, those, I'm saying it's a very difficult thing to do, and
I would say the only person who didn't really have a star-studded number 2 would be Dirk. I guess.
But Dirk had a very good all-around supporting cast.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Tyson Chandler, Jason Terry, Jason Kidd. Those
are
really good players. And he also
might not have had a star, but he had the pieces around him that were very well rounded.
But I'm saying he didn't have another star-studded superstar. But his overall.
But again, you guys are bringing up this Mavericks team from early 2010s. I mean, even since are we done with the 90s debate? I mean, you can look back and even say we're done with the 2010s if you're going to look at it.
If you want to sit and watch LeBron's highlights from that series, you could do the same exact thing that they do with Jordan for anything where they take, they nitpick things from his games. You could sit and watch LeBron getting clamped up by JJ Barrera.
Yep. And the thing is too, I've seen a lot of people that are like, "Oh, Jordan can't go left." Well,
he can.
Yes, he can. But adding on to that, everyone has a weaker aspect of that game. It's like, why would you force Jordan left? It's because if he goes right, it's a bucket. Why do you force LeBron to shoot? It's because he doesn't shoot as well as he drives. Every single player has something that you're going to try and exploit from them to beat them. It's
was that Kobe interview with about Kevin Durant.
Jokic.
That was his toughest thing.
Right. Kevin Durant does not have a weakness really on offense now, though.
Yes.
Now, well, not after Kobe exposed him.
No, but Kobe had a tough time. Kevin Durant fixed that.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, he fixed that problem after.
Kevin Durant is a perfect player on offense. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a single weakness. Elite 3-point shooter, elite mid-range, elite finisher. LeBron right now is a very good shooter, and he's always been an average shooter. He's never been a bad shooter. He's just an average shooter. LeBron's a much better shooter than Jordan was. There's nothing that that can never be denied. But the truth of the matter is, when we start doing these things where we're saying, "Oh, Jordan was just not good. He was Jaylen Brown."
That's the most disgusting, appalling take I've ever.
The best one is he's DeMar DeRozan, because DeMar DeRozan does kind of play like him. But when you sit there and do things like that, it delegitimizes LeBron's legitimate GOAT argument, which to me, it's like saying, LeBron is, I think, number one, but it's a very serious debate. It's very close. Jordan's hands down the second best player. If he was in the NBA today, where LeBron is past his prime, Jordan would hands down be the best player in the NBA. He'd be probably, when you look at the pace of play of today's game, obviously the defense is not going to give you as much space on the perimeter, but you look at the pace of play.
I slightly disagree that Jordan would be hands down the best player in today's game.
This is something too.
That I'm going to bring this back as you wouldn't know that for sure.
So you're done with the 90s.
I don't think. No.
He's not done with the 90s. No. There's a lot of good players in the league.
I'm saying if you took, let's just say you took Bill Russell, and you put him.
I don't think that Russell thrives.
And you put him in here now, like it's a different game. You don't need that.
Bill Russell is Draymond Green with worse playmaking.
This is the thing that I also have.
So you don't know for sure. Like you can't tell.
This is the thing I have a problem with the if you took an old player and put him in the league today, how would they do argument? The people today got to where they're at today because we have modernized training. We have modernized ideas of nutrition, modern training, like actually physically knowing how to shoot a basketball, how to dunk a basketball, how to properly jump, all these things that they grew up with and they were molded into throughout high school, college. If they went into the G League before,
you would have to start those people, like you would have to assume that they grew up. Yeah,
exactly. You would have to assume that they were born in today's age, grew up with the talent that they had, and reached the NBA.
Like
still.
I don't think if Babe Ruth was brought into this era now, he's not eating 1,000 pounds of eggs for breakfast.
Exactly.
But I actually think that makes him a worse baseball player.
I agree. I don't think Babe Ruth would have been able to perform in today's MLB in the same way that I think Jordan would perform in today's NBA.
Yeah. I think if I'm not even saying modernized technology, I'm straight up saying if you took, 1991 Michael Jordan and plucked him into the NBA today, I think he would hands down be the best player in the NBA because if you look at the pace of play today, I think you look at everything in terms of his game. He gets to the rim at will. He's very, very athletic, very quick. You can't say that anybody has an athletic advantage over him because he straight up would be the most athletic player in the NBA right now. So you're getting a guy who's very quick, finishes better than anybody in the league right now. Mid-range shooting, best in the league. He would be the best mid-range shooter in the league right now.
And also something
maybe Kevin Durant, but he's close to him. 3-point shooting, it would be a problem. But if you're going on the other end, because also Michael Jordan, too, was a good playmaker. He wasn't as good as LeBron, but he was always averaging, 5, 6, 7 assists. So I think when you look at the pace of play today, I think he'd be averaging – I'm not one of those guys, MJ would average 50 in today's game. But I think he would be – if Luka can average 35, I think MJ could average 36, 37, along with, 7 rebounds, 7 assists.
There's also the intangibles of – whenever we go into the Jordan LeBron, I always bring up Jordan wanted to kill you every single game. I don't think anybody in the league currently has that mentality. I don't think anybody actually wants to kill you when they take the basketball court. I think that goes a long way, and people don't understand how far of how much of an edge that can actually give you.
I don't know, man. Have you seen Draymond out there?
Yeah, Draymond wants to kill you in a different way. He will actually take you back and beat your head. But Jordan did not want you to leave the court feeling good about yourself. He wanted to embarrass you out there every single game.
Right. He has, mental edge over everybody. I understand that and everything. And also, he's a very good defender. That translates. His athleticism and his defense would translate. I'm not saying maybe he wouldn't be the defensive player of the year now, but he would still be a very good defender. And I think, you look at all that stuff, I don't really see, what, besides 3-point shooting, which, again, I'm the first guy to say Jordan was not a good 3-point shooter. He was
and I don't think,
and
that's why I don't think that he's scoring as much as you're thinking today. I was waiting for you to bring it up.
I think
you're averaging 36 without that right now. I mean, I get granted, if he's going to come into the league and play now, he would work on that.
Exactly. That's why I don't really have a true stance on this.
But also, I don't know, comparing him to Luka with scoring, I don't see him scoring high 30s in today's game. I just don't.
I think he absolutely could.
This
is where I go. This is where I go back
pace
and
of play. I think much slower pace of play because here's the thing, right? This is just a genuine comparison, right? We all agree that Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant is just a slightly worse version of Michael Jordan, right?
And Kobe thrived.
And Kobe thrived throughout the 2000s and the early 2010s against the same guys. So Kobe in 2013, prior to the Achilles tear, was having one of his best years. That's when the pace of play started to increase. He was going against Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, LeBron, Chris Paul, all these guys, I mean, obviously those guys are at the end today, but it was still the same guys who the young guys today were playing against. So to
Yeah.
me, if I see Kobe thriving in that way, I'm taking Kobe, but better mid-range shooter. Maybe not as crafty. Maybe Jordan was less crafty than Kobe, but Jordan was more athletic than Kobe. And they were both, on an equal playing field as defenders, both, all NBA defense talents. So I'm just taking a slightly version better of Kobe because Kobe today, I don't think anybody thinks that Kobe wouldn't average 35 points in today's game. So if Kobe could do it, I don't see why Jordan could do it because if you're saying that Kobe could do it, then that means that you're saying that Kobe's better than Jordan, and I don't think anybody thinks that. Even Kobe himself will tell you that Jordan's a better. I mean, he can't tell you now, but Kobe would tell you if he was around that Michael was better than him. He never reached that level.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then still, Jordan, when he was with the Wizards, going in one of the, starting
Yeah, that was the early 2000s.
early 2000s, he was still getting, 20 something points a game, obviously.
And he was old.
And he was very old. He was washed. So
Yeah.
to me, I just don't see a world where he doesn't average at least, 32 points. And with his frame, he's giving you, 6 rebounds, and he's a good passer, good playmaker. He'll get you 6, 7 assists. And to me, I don't know. And I don't think anybody shoots the ball from mid-range like him. If you built a team around him, it would be tougher to win the championships. It'd be tough to win a championship if you're not building a team around him. Like you have to, today's league, right? You'd probably have to have a center that can shoot. You'd probably have to have, everybody around. If you took essentially the blueprint that teams, would take for building a team around LeBron, where it's like you take LeBron and you get good defenders, good shooters around him, and then let him have the ball and just work with that. It would, I think he would win championships in today's NBA.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I think LeBron's the GOAT. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to be fair. I
don't have a true stance. I've removed myself from the LeBron Jordan thing, but the ending notes are, I think the comparison of saying everything that happened before LeBron is just absolute garbage is garbage in itself. I don't think you can say that. It's a brain dead take.
Yeah.
To really give you my raw feelings there.
And obviously, look, yeah, go ahead.
The argument that I'm seeing from a lot of people as well online is if you take a player like Kyrie Irving today and you throw them into the league in the 90s, he's going to be arrested for witchcraft.
I agree with that.
I agree too, but that's another nonsensical take because that's not a fair transition.
Well,
that's like, yeah. I mean, that's like saying you take an engineer from today and you put them into feudalistic Europe. Of course, they're going to be a genius back then.
Look, Kyrie Irving wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Isaiah Thomas.
Exactly.
Isaiah Thomas wouldn't exist if it wasn't for, Oscar Robertson. There's all the levels of point guards and the skill, the league evolves. But here's the thing. I'm not saying, the average NBA role player of the 80s and 90s would not make the NBA today, and everybody agrees with that. But we're talking about the best of the best. I think you took Michael Jordan. There's certain guys, their play styles, if you put them into today's game. Larry Bird, great example, guy who can shoot ahead of his time. He would do better in today's game because he was a great shooter, but he just really didn't have the green light like he would have now.
Undervalued.
So his three-point shooting would be incredible. With his rebounding and his playmaking, I think he would thrive in today's game. I don't see any reason why Bird wouldn't put up the same numbers that he did in the 80s that he would, if he played today. Maybe even better numbers because he would be taking more threes.
We done with the people who are done with the 90s.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, again, it's a fun little topic, and I do think the competition was weaker. I will use that in my GOAT debates. that the competition was weaker. I don't think there's one Michael Jordan finals opponent that comes close to any of those Warriors or Spurs teams. I don't think I don't know if Michael Jordan's teams would have beat those Warriors or Spurs teams. They probably wouldn't have. But
Yeah.
I will that's my argument that I'll use. But it comes when you're using it as saying, "Oh yeah, this is Jaylen Brown." It's stupid. It's ignorant. It's dumb.
It is. I think that's
Yeah, so that's it for the NBA. Really, it's just a hot topic we want to discuss. But we have a lot of news with the NFL, and it's not fun news. It's really not fun news because we are all Giants fans.
Oh God.
And Saquon has left. He's gone to the Eagles. This is like,
say it ain't so, Joe.
Yeah, no, this is not cool. It's really not cool.
As a Giant fan, this might be a hot take. That's why I'm gonna cut you off right here. I don't mind us leaving Saquon.
I agree.
I don't mind. He had a good rookie. He had a great rookie year, and then he got hurt twice. He tore an ACL and then hurt his ankle, I believe, or maybe it was his other knee. He played 6 years. He only really played 3.5. He got $26 million guaranteed from the Eagles. I don't think he's worth that money. I don't see how, if you're the Giants, if you pay him that money with our offensive line at the moment before we let him walk, how he even thrives at all. It hurts that it's the Eagles. Like, I would have rather have seen him gone to the Texans, because you could be like, okay,
right,
we won't have to deal with you ever.
Push them all.
Yeah.
But the Eagles, I mean, I don't know how you do that. I also don't agree with Tiki Barber's comments at all.
Something that
he was a sellout.
I think the Saquon departure kind of overshadowed a lot of what the Giants also did on that day as well.
Yeah.
And I think it hurts a little bit more, and it's overshadowing the rest of the moves a little bit more, because this is the face of your franchise, and he is leaving you for your division rivals. So, of course, it's going to kind of trump the news that's going on around it. But the Giants also made a lot of other good moves to kind of build up around this loss.
They upgraded their offensive line. I've been screaming to do that for how many years? And here's the thing. I mean, running backs are a replaceable position, and I know they brought in a new running back.
Devin Singletary, from the Bills.
Thank you. So they brought him in, and, running back is a replaceable position. It's not like, it's not the quarterback, where the quarterback is super, super important, and an elite quarterback makes a huge difference. Running back, you can get a lot of guys to fill that void, and you get, somebody else in there with a great offensive line, and now you have Daniel Jones coming back. Obviously, I think the Giants signed Derek Carr, correct?
Drew Lock,
I'm sorry. So that's good insurance. But Daniel Jones is going to be coming back. They're paying him a ton of money. You have to play him next year. And he is a very mobile quarterback. Big problem. I mean, I felt bad for him some of those games against the Cowboys last year where the ball snaps and 1 second later there's a Cowboy defender in his face. So, it gives him a chance. You never know. They upgraded the defense too. We'll see. It's going to be tough because the Eagles are going to be really good. The Cowboys are going to be good.
Jalen Hurts is mid, though, and I stand by that.
He is. And I honestly think pairing Saquon with Hurts isn't the best thing in the world.
You don't need both of them.
Yeah,
Saquon would have been better off going to the Bills.
Yeah, and he would have been better off anywhere other than the Eagles, in my opinion.
Or Dallas. You need to go somewhere with a good offensive line. I mean, the Eagles have one of the best, but they just have
they did just lose Kelsey, but
but their backup has been the league. He went to Michigan. Yeah. He's been the league. He'll be
all right.
But thank God the Giants traded for Burns. Absolute steal.
Yeah.
They gave, I think it was in 2022. They offered someone offered the Panthers 2 first-rounders and a second-rounder for Burns, and we gave up a second and a fifth and then signed him to a 5-year, $150 million extension. So our D line with Burns, Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence.
It's gonna be nice.
Will be nice, even though we lost McKinney to the Packers, which is like kind of hurts, but our defense should be pretty good when they're on the field for the first half at least.
It gives us it gives them a real shot in terms of your defense is going out there, and you never know if Daniel Jones plays like he did 2 years ago with a much better offensive line. We'll see.
I mean, that was the glaring issue last year. Daniel Jones didn't even have the chance to reach his potential.
I couldn't even get mad at him.
The ball got snapped and he was hit.
The Giants were sacked 81 times last year.
That's disgusting. Please don't ever tell me that again.
Second most to Washington was the first.
The Washington football team.
It was so bad. It was so bad last year. It was brutal to watch every single game.
Well, they did get 3 offensive linemen. They're probably drafting Neighbors now, the wide receiver out of LSU, and not take Joe Alt, which I'm kind of mad about, but it is what it is.
You got to draft her a fit. Even if it sucks, you got to draft her your fit.
Joe Alt's the offensive lineman, though, but we got 3 of them, so.
But around the league outside of New York,
all right,
so go to next.
So I'll go kind of by position. So the biggest positions that people were wondering were for running backs. So Josh Jacobs goes to the Packers out of nowhere. Packers had arguably 2 starting running backs on their roster. They get rid of both of them. They leave A.J. Dillon to go to free agency, and they told Aaron Jones, you're either taking a 50% pay cut or you're out. And he said, all right, I'm out. And he ended up going to the Vikings, which no one saw that. But Jacobs was the biggest one, probably 4-year, $48 million. And the one who led the running back controversy for pay probably got the worst deal out of all of them. Austin Eckler to the Washington for 2 years for $11 million. Guy took a terrible cut. I don't know what he's thinking. CT must have got to him.
Not even like a cut to try and win. I mean, Washington's not in any position to really turn things around and get back into the swing of things.
No, but running back that did make a good move was Derrick Henry to the Ravens, 1-year deal. That easily helps them after getting rid of Gus Edwards. J.K. Dobbins comes back. You have Henry in the backfield, also Lamar, OBJ, everyone else in crew.
Well, the thing is, the Packers and the Ravens, I mean, they were right there last year. These guys coming in could kind of turn the tides from going into next year.
Jacobs
is more experienced.
The Ravens should have won last year.
Ravens should have won.
They should have.
I think the Packers should have won, too. I mean, the Packers threw the game away in the last, 2 minutes.
Jacobs definitely helps the Packers this year, no doubt. He is pretty much
Aaron Jones. Their run game wasn't good.
He's pretty much Aaron Jones with AJ, combined with AJ Dillon into one person.
Yeah.
I mean, and then, Tony Pollard went to the Titans. I don't see that fitting. It's probably going to be a waste of money.
Yeah.
He's not there.
The
Titans are a mess.
To me, the crazy thing was the whole Mac Jones to the Jaguars. I mean...
Well, he's from Jacksonville.
Well, that's great. But to me, it's like the Patriots don't have they don't really... Obviously, that experiment failed and they should have ended that. But to me... I'm a little concerned because obviously Trevor Lawrence took a noticeable step back last season from 2 seasons ago.
He got hurt, yeah.
Do they bring Mac Jones in there to put a little pressure under Trevor Lawrence to say you got to start performing?
No. Mac Jones is in there as a backup, strictly a backup. There's no. If you're Trevor, you're saying to yourself, Mac Jones. That's exactly what you're doing. You're not worried about Mac Jones at all. They're doing that just to get him as a backup quarterback. I think they signed him a 1-year deal. That's a no worry thing. And the Patriots getting rid of him is pretty much done the league where you're drafting a quarterback.
To keep going on that, I agree that it's not to really light the fire under Trevor. I think it's to prevent what happened this year from happening again,
Right.
where if Trevor's out for like 4 or 5 games, they don't want to fall out of playoff contention.
Right. Because Mac Jones wasn't. I mean, the Patriots were just bad.
Yeah.
Like even when Bailey Zappi was in, they weren't good. So obviously they're gonna go and draft probably Jaden Daniels this year, which would be a huge up for both of them. And then with a new head coach. But Mac Jones could be a solid backup. I mean, Minshew's still in the league. He just got signed to the Raiders. So why can't Mac Jones be like a little nice backup option?
Be a backup option for sure. The Patriots just need to draft a quarterback. It's like,
On the note of
they set themselves back with that.
On the note of Trevor, though, his collegiate alumni T. Higgins wants out apparently.
Well, yeah, because Bengals won't give him an extension after the franchise tag.
He's not playing poorly either. I mean, he's been pretty elite for them. He did get hurt, but I mean, outside of being hurt, he's been pretty solid for him. Where do you guys see him possibly ending up?
If Jacksonville didn't get Gabe Davis, I would have said Jacksonville.
There would definitely be a big pull for him to get there with ETN and Trevor.
There was a little bit of a rumor of actually for the Giants.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. The Giants.
I think he fits. I think he fits.
I think if he wants to win, he doesn't come here.
He could help the Giants win. If the Giants, their defense is good, you never know. Daniel Jones can. Look, I'm never gonna be a Daniel Jones hater because to me, he played really well 2 years ago, and I don't think he's gotten any time. Like, I just can't look at last year and say, "Oh, Daniel Jones was garbage." I don't think there was a quarterback in the NFL that would have thrived under that.
I know that's why I'm not hating on the Daniel Jones. I'm hating on the Giants. Right. Yeah. Looking at last year, I didn't know. You had no idea what they were doing. They fired Wink Martindale this year. He's at Michigan now. Crazy. Right. They fired their offensive coordinator. They fired their offensive line coach. We had 56 offensive line combinations differently. You can't win like that.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're coming in and you're Teagans, you just saw the Giants on 3 different offensive linemen. I think we have 7 on the roster. You have no idea what's going on, how good they're going to play against these defenses. I mean, yeah, our wide receivers are Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. Now that Sterling Shepard retired, Evan Ingram. Why do we even pay that guy?
I hate him.
Not doing anything. And then, I mean, not Evan Ingram. What's his name? Walker.
Oh, Waller.
Darren Waller.
Oh my God, they were excited about that one.
Evan Ingram's doing stuff on Jacksonville. He's actually producing. So I think if you're Higgins, you don't go here. I would like to see him go to the Packers, honestly. Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs. I think it would fit.
Packers right there last year. That's another one that would really help him out.
But I don't think the Packers have enough room to pay him. Like, he wants an extension. Like, he wants one of these, like, I don't know, like 4 for $90 deals. And I don't think the Packers have enough money to do that. Even though they did just get rid of David Bakhtiari to clear cap. But I don't know. My biggest takeaway from all of NFL free agency so far is I like how the players don't have loyalty to teams anymore. If teams aren't going to show loyalty to players, I don't mind players going to rival. It just stinks that it's my rival for Saquon, but also like Patrick Queen, sick stud linebacker for the Ravens, signs a 3-year deal with the Steelers. So like, do rivalries mean anything anymore? I would say yes, but during the season. It shouldn't matter anymore.
If you want to bring it up, like in general sports, do rivalries mean anything? I'm starting to lean towards they don't anymore. It's weird. I think rivalries kind of originally stemmed from like the big market teams that would always have nationally televised games, so everyone would be able to watch it.
But now traded for Verdugo.
Yeah, but is the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry still fueled? Do those games feel different to you than other games, really?
Yeah, not as much anymore.
Yeah, the last time it really felt like something was like 2010s, early.
Mm-hmm. I
that's
think,
all
yeah,
sports.
and sports in general. I mean, you look at like what's like the meaningful rivalries. It's like, well, I think Lakers Celtics has a little bit of meaning simply because LeBron Celtics is a rivalry,
Rivalries
and
are
it
bigger in
adds
college.
with the with the Lakers.
I'm
But
with
I'm,
you
I'm
there.
talking about professional sports. I agree with that. College will always have that. NBA, you really have the Lakers Celtics. The Heat and Celtics have genuine beef.
Yeah.
The Knicks and Nets, I think, have genuine beef in the sense of they have not made a trade. Those two teams. I don't know if you guys knew that. They have not made a trade with each other since the Nets have moved to Brooklyn. So they don't interact with each other. That's front office beef, and but that's really it for the NBA. Like you don't really see many other crazy
Yeah,
rivalries.
like I
Yeah,
think it's just it's about them. Like it's honestly you're both as a person like the history of rivalries is kind of gone. So it's like now it's like oh you're in the MLB, I'm in the MLB, we're both making millions. I'm not gonna go out there and punch you because you hit a player. Like it's not worth the ejection. It's not worth the fine, even though the team pays for the fines. But it's just not it's not worth the hassle anymore. You might as well just be like, all right, next at bat, I'm just gonna probably stare at you, and that's the most you're gonna get, or you're gonna get a push in basketball, and you're gonna square up and act like you're a tough guy. And we all know if someone from the stands could probably beat you up anyway. It doesn't
Hey,
matter.
Ben Wallace put that to the test.
Here's the thing.
Ben Wallace is
I
different
think
animal.
the
Are you the same
rivalries.
beast?
Yeah. I think the thing with rivalries is the fans somewhat keep these things alive. You go to a Yankee game and they're playing the Red Sox, you're gonna feel that they're playing the Red Sox. You go to a Yankee game and they're playing the Astros, you're really gonna feel that they're playing the Astros.
It's more of a fan thing than it. But it used to be a
The
team.
players felt it too.
A player
The players don't have the pride that they used to.
That's a good way to phrase it. That's a very good way to phrase it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The players don't seem like they hate each other anymore.
Depends on, obviously the team. If there's
there's been some history there.
If there's a team, let's say, if there's a guy, let's say on, I'm just going to use an example, the Yankees, and that guy really cares deeply about being a Yankee, he's going to hate the Red Sox. You know what I mean? He's going to say, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to really prove it.
It'd be like if Volpe got traded to the Red Sox. Like I feel like he would hate being. I feel like he would hate being a Red Sox because he was born and raised a Yankee fan.
Right.
That's why
Yankee. But like if you're some kid from middle of like Wyoming and drafted to the Yankees and then you get traded to the Red Sox, that doesn't mean jack.
Right.
Paycheck's a paycheck. But that's why I always say for Yankees, I mean we're getting a little off topic here, but I always think the best Yankees are.
I'm gonna circle this into the MLB.
Circle this into the MLB.
Yeah. I always say the best Yankees are the New Yorkers. And that's why I really like Bader. I really like Volpe because they know what they're playing for. Like they grew up being a Yankees fan. They know what the Yankees stand for, and I think they embody it very well.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, speaking of the Yankees, Garrett Cole, precautionary MRI. No, is there a need to panic?
Yes.
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 Reigning Cy Young winner.
There's very much a reason to panic.
And you hear pitcher and elbow and MRI in the same sentence, and you go,
I almost threw up.
And then Judge MRI on his abs, saying he wants to be ready for opening day. Dude, it's been 2 weeks and you're a professional.
That one I'm not as worried about. The Cole one, I'm very worried about. Because if something's wrong with Judge's abs, fine, he's out the first 3 weeks of the season. I don't really care. If Cole comes back and they say, boom, Tommy John, that's it for the Yankees' chance to win. Yeah. They're done for the next 10 years.
I wasn't worried about Cole until today that I saw the Yankees were back on Dylan Cease, and I went, no. I went, oh, no.
Well, it's the fact that there's also no definitive answer on the MRIs yet. Like, they've definitely had time to look at him, and they don't feel comfortable saying that he's healthy.
Yeah.
There's definitely room for concern here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that, I guess, because we're gonna get into our predictions soon.
We'll get into yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll
a few
Nick, you
little
want to talk?
headlines. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, pretty passionate about the overseas game, so we can start it off.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the overseas games. I'm going to be honest. I didn't know that the Dodgers and Padres had their opening day in Seoul. I already am a little hesitant to be okay with them doing it even in the middle of the season. I feel like with all sports, MLB, like these are sports that are played in America with American fans, and it's a reason to come visit America. Like if you want to go see an MLB game, it's a cool thing to do here. And it's also where your more passionate fans are. Like these are where your true diehard fans are. They grew up with you. They live and die by watching you play year in, year out. And the fact that opening day is overseas seems very wrong to me, especially after all the Dodgers did in the offseason.
Opening day makes it messed up.
It really does.
If it was in the middle of the season, that's fine.
Like,
you can't.
They have the London series coming up.
You can't open up your season like the NFL never opens up, but they play games in London. I also think that that's stupid, that the amount of games that they're trying to play in London and Germany. But you can't have opening day. I guess if you want like Yamamoto and Darvish to duel in Seoul,
I understand that too.
I get it, but why can't you do that late? You could do that later in the year.
Mm-hmm, exactly. You can find a time when they match up and then do it. Opening day rubs me the wrong way. These are your fans. Show up for them on day one. That's my take.
I agree with that 100%. I think, there's people every year that look forward to, let's go to opening day. And I think to take that away from the fans, and I'm not saying that, there's definitely fans of every team in different countries, right? For sure, especially a team like the Dodgers.
Absolutely.
The Dodgers, are very popular, especially in, Asia. But
and now that they have Ohtani, they have the whole fan base that follows, which I very much respect.
Yeah, everybody's.
I love the fact that there's the universal following of these big time international players.
Here's the bottom line. They're the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yes.
It should be for the fans in Los Angeles. Maybe if it's not in Los Angeles, or if it's in, San Diego, whatever.
Whatever it may be.
Wherever it is. But the fans of these teams, the immediate local fan base, some people don't want to move out of certain areas because they're like, oh, well, I can't leave. Yeah, exactly. Exhibit A right here. You'll never leave New York because you're like, oh, well, if I want to go to a Yankee game, you won't be able to go.
I don't think I could live the rest of my life not going to Yankee Stadium.
So, exactly. So, there's a lot of fans like that, and I think those fans deserve the loyalty to be able to go to opening day. I'm perfectly fine with, having a series overseas in whatever country. It's good for the league. It's good, you make fans worldwide. And then their ultimate goal is to build the popularity of baseball worldwide. They want to have what they already have it somewhat with Asian countries, but they want to have, I guess, what the NBA is having, where most of the, you can make an argument, half of the top 10 best players in the league aren't even born in the U.S. And I understand a big portion of the MLB is not born in the U.S. They have a lot of people from South America and the Caribbean. But, they want, I guess, to expand their market in Europe and, build on what's going on in Asia. Japan and Korea are very, very, very popular in terms of, baseball. So I think it's a good thing. The London series, great idea. If they want to do, Germany or wherever, I think it's a good idea to build the game of baseball. They should do it because it's declining in America in terms of popularity. And when you're worried about, bringing in the next generation of kids to be, carrying your product, you might need to rely on international players. So if there's some kid that's going to go to the baseball game in Germany and they're going to fall in love with baseball because of that, and then that guy ends up becoming an MLB player, that's a beautiful story. That's a great thing. But opening day needs to be for the fans that live and see this team and support this team day to day. These are the fans that interact with the players on a daily basis. Those fans should be rewarded with opening day, not fans that aren't living in that city.
With you.
So,
agreed.
yeah. But I mean, I guess speaking of, MLB season is starting, and there's a lot of things that could happen. It's a pretty interesting season coming up, and we all made our predictions for what's going to happen. We'll first start with our regular season predictions, and then we'll get into our postseason predictions. I guess, Jake, you can get us started.
I'll start. So I don't know how. So I'm just gonna kind of run through them, and I'm just gonna talk as I go.
Yeah,
so I'll just start at the AL. I'll start at the AL West. I think the Astros end up taking. Well, I'll just start this: Astros, Rangers, Mariners, Angels, A's. A's at the bottom. They bankroll. They haven't made any moves. Pretty self-explanatory. The Angels losing Ohtani doesn't help. They didn't make any moves. Anthony Rendon, I don't know what he's doing.
He's going to play another 20-game season.
Guy just doesn't care about baseball anymore. So now the top three are really interesting. The Astros and Rangers were tied last year. Nod went to the Astros head-to-head, I think. Is that it's determined?
Yes.
Or like runs. I don't know. They got the nod.
First it goes head-to-head, then to the differential.
Getting Hader, signing out Tuve, pretty much having the same team as last year. I have them winning. I have them repeating, I guess. Very close also. Like, I'm not going to argue if you have the Rangers over the Astros, but I think it's those two up front and then the Mariners. I don't think the Mariners did enough to overtake them. I also don't know, like, do the Rangers get Montgomery? Do they have any? Is DeGrom? I mean, he's healthy, but does he stay healthy? I mean, I'm assuming that everyone in my projections stays healthy, and then also when it gets to playoffs, I'm assuming every team is healthy, every player, yada yada, like that. AL Central, kinda. I mean, I don't really care about the AL Central, so
it's the most irrelevant.
It's the weakest division in the league.
White Sox at the bottom. I have faith in the Royals this year to not be last. Tigers, they didn't really make any moves.
Yeah.
I think the Twins are just that much better than the rest. They won it last year. They won it by 9 games.
Yeah.
I think you could have any order 2 to 5. Twins have to be 1. No one else is making the playoffs of that division. AL East is kind of interesting. Now that Cole might be out for the season, this was made before that. Precautionary. I think the Yankees overtake the Orioles for the 1 seed. I think they jumped. They had a bit of a stretch where they made a push, and then I think they kind of like gave up a little bit at the end. Nothing really going on. Boone kind of had no idea. I think the Yankees pulled together Soto, Verdugo. Rodon has a bounce back year to an extent. And I think that pushes them over the Orioles. I think the Orioles definitely make it close, give the Yankees a run for their money, 1-2. Red Sox, I don't know what they're doing this year, what their plans are.
They're waiting for people's prices to drop.
Non-biased, they're in the bottom.
Yeah.
Rays and Blue Jays, I think what the Blue Jays did this offseason, not signing and not going after people, especially Chapman, I think that was dumb. Even though he declined their offer, nothing you can do about that. So that'll be my AL. My NL, I think the toughest is Braves Phillies for the NL East. I think the Braves are just, they're star-studded. Strider had a freaking off-season spring training, crazy. I think he'll only be better. The Phillies are right there with them. They were right there with them last year to a point, and then the Braves ran away and won the division by 14 games. It's kind of ridiculous. The Mets, I'm not gonna say I have faith in the Mets, but I think that the Nationals and Marlins are just that much worse than the Mets. So I'm putting the Mets third. So I'm giving you credit, Paul.
There we go.
They could go third. The NL West, the Dodgers might win 157 games this year, and then they might lose in the first round. So I don't know what their plan is. Dodgers won. Diamondbacks sneak in at number 2, like they did last year. Maybe they make it closer than 16 games. Probably not.
157-5.
They shatter the Mariners record. Giants, Padres, Rockies. I guarantee you, head-to-head Dodgers, Rockies. That's way closer matchup than you think. That's 2 of the Dodgers' 5 losses to the Rockies. Don't ask. And then the NL Central might be one of the most balanced up until the Pirates. But with Wainwright and Yadier Molina, obviously, and players leaving the Cardinals, like I was always a big Cardinals fan. They're dropping. I think the Cubs with Bellinger, they made some good signings. They win the division. Brewers right there with Yelich, too. The loss of Corbin Burns hurts them. But they did have their second ace coming back. So I think that puts them in a nice wild card spot.
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk, or you want me to go right into playoffs?
No, we're gonna go one at a time for the regular season, and then we'll go to the playoffs.
All right. So that's pretty much my regular season. You're gonna see some similarities here. You're gonna see some differences.
Yeah, just from a technical
I'm
difficulties perspective, that's the only reason.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, let me see.
I'm pretty in line with you.
Let me see. I actually think I might be able to do this. Hold on.
No, it's fine. It's you.
Oh,
no,
we
go in order.
No, I got you, Jake. Playoff predictions are up.
All right.
Let him cook.
All right. So overall, I think the Astros end up taking the overall 1 seed. From the AL, it would be Astros, Yankees, Twins, and then it's Rangers, Baltimore, Mariners for the AL. And then I have...
Real quick, I'm very shocked you have the Orioles finishing with a lower record than the Rangers.
I don't think the Orioles come out like everyone thinks they're going to come out.
You think they're going to be flat?
This is more of an against the public pick.
All right.
More so than not. Like, I could see them going either, like, winning the AL East by 12 games or them going 7 games back and falling way shorter than everyone thinks.
Yeah, I see that.
I'm picking the opposite way. I do think Texas in the postseason is dangerous. I have them over the Orioles, and I have them over the Astros, making it to the ALCS. The Orioles are young. They're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to win. But I don't have them making it out of the wild card. The Twins don't deserve to be in the playoffs at all. They get smacked by Seattle.
I'm right there with you.
Useless division. Seattle also doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. The Yankees smack them. Now, the most interesting matchup is going to be Yankees-Texas. I think it goes as deep as it can go, 7 games probably. And I think the Yankees pull away. They have more starts of the power. Pitching comes through. Yankees. On the opposite way, yeah. This is all contingent if everyone's healthy. The other side: Dodgers, Braves, Cubs, Phillies, D-backs, Brewers, sneaky Brewers. So the Phillies against the Diamondbacks. I think the Phillies with Wheeler, the rest of the team coming easy. And then I also have them beating the Dodgers. Dodgers are fraudulent. They're going to lose the first round to whoever they play. Mark my words. Phillies, NLCS. Cubs are only getting out of the first round because they're playing the Brewers. Cubs. Then they play Atlanta 4 or 5 games. That's all I'm giving them. Now, the best matchup is going to be Braves-Phillies.
Always a dogfight.
And it's going to be a dogfight. You're going to see either runs scored or you're going to see 1-run, 10-inning games. It's going to be a great series. Pitchers are going to pitch. Hitters are going to hit. I have the Braves pulling out of that one. If you told me you had the Phillies, I would be okay. If you told me you had the Dodgers, I would say no way. But then I have Yankees, Braves, and I have the Yankees. I'm a Yankees fan. I'm going to pick the Yankees. I think they have a legitimate chance this year, and that's my 2024 playoff predictions.
I don't think there's anything wrong with what you said. It really just, again, with the Yankees, Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah.
everyone
Personally,
disagrees health.
I don't see a lot of our picks deviating between like one or two teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like baseball's kind of easy. Like the bottom teams you can interchange, but they're going to be at the bottom. The
Yeah,
top
but
teams
those bottom teams, if they get hot at that last point, maybe the 6th seed isn't a true 6th seed. They just won 8 straight, snuck into the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's what we saw last year. I think baseball, the seeding has the least weight out of any sport of any of the major 4 sports.
That's true, but I'm talking about not for the playoffs. I'm talking about the standings. Playoffs is different. I'm talking about like
the standings are going to be fairly consistent.
But that's my playoff predictions. Those are my standings predictions. Nick,
pretty solid.
All right, well, Nick, you are up. I have your stuff up.
All right, I'll go same kind of order Jake went here.
Yep.
I'll just run through it. AL West, we'll start with. I have the fall of the Houston Astros in the regular season for the first year in many years coming here. I think the Rangers stay hot off a World Series win. I think they have a lot of confidence coming in. You got a fully healthy pitching staff. I think Scherzer's a little rejuvenated. I think DeGrom's going to be great this year, coming back fully healthy. I see him running away with the division. Mariners in the 2. I think this young core finally puts it all together, and they're able to kind of sit healthily at 2. I don't think it's going to be as close between the Mariners and the Astros, but they're definitely going to have a bit of an edge over the Astros. Astros 3, Angels at 4, just because the Athletics are also in their division. Any other division, the Angels finish 5.
Correct.
It's not going to be pretty at the 4 and 5 in the AL West. For the AL Central, I think this is very close to repeating what happened last year. I got the Twins just being the best of the mid teams in this division. I have the Guardians inching out the Tigers. I think that's going to be a very close 2-3 battle there. But I think the Guardians just have that much more of an edge. Tigers at 3. Neither of these teams really did much in the offseason either. Royals and White Sox at the 4 and 5. Again, not pretty at all. Both teams sitting around 60 wins. AL East, the strongest division in the MLB. I have the Orioles doing it back-to-back. I think this young core is just so... The best way I could put it is I think they're just happy to be there. And I think in baseball is the sport where it really shows through. I think they're going to be playing loose, they're going to be relaxed, and they're going to just roll through the season. I see them... excuse me. I see them winning more games than they did last year. I see them going for like 105 through 110 wins. Best record in the AL by a decent margin. I have the Yankees at 2. We're probably going to be finishing with the second best record in the AL. I see them maybe just shy of 100 wins, high 90s if they stay healthy, and if Garrett Cole doesn't completely blow out his elbow and ruin all Yankees fans' hopes and dreams. I see the Rays, even with a couple of players that they're now missing for reasons unbeknownst to all of us. They just have a very good team. They're very well-rounded throughout the entire diamond. I see them inching out the Blue Jays, who really didn't do much in the offseason, and that's why I see them falling to 4. Red Sox, bad. I don't know if the Red Sox win 65 games this year either. So off to the National League now. The NL East, which I think is the second best division in the MLB. I think you have the Braves going for another 100-win season. I think they're going to be sitting at like 105 games. The Phillies are really good year in and year out, but they're good in the playoffs. They're never like a team that's going to win 105 games. I think they're going to sneak in there with like a low 90s win team. Hop into a playoff spot and just get rolling. Marlins inching out over the Mets. I think this is actually an identical finish to what it was last year. I think the Mets are going to do what the Mets do and fall apart. I'm sorry, Paul, but it's the reality of what I have. And then the Nationals are just bad, and they didn't add anybody. So I have my 5. NL West, Dodgers, I'm with you, Jake, 157 and 5. D-backs, short of them. I think the D-backs are going to fall a little bit this year. I don't see them kind of doing as well as they did last year. I know they didn't do great, 84-win team here, but I kind of see them sitting a little bit there. There's nobody really a pressing threat to take the 2 spot from them. I don't think the Padres are all that. So I got the Padres and the Giants and the Rockies. No real huge splashes in the offseason. I don't think it's going to be pretty at the bottom there. Then I got the NL Central. I got the Cubs sitting on the 1 spot. This year, they will not absolutely collapse at the end of the year and miss the playoffs. I see them standing strong with the Bellinger signing. Next, Brewers, also going to be in the playoff mix. Just, I don't think they're going to beat out the Cubs. I think the Cubs are a little bit deeper, a little bit more well-rounded. The Reds are on the up and up. Depending on how this year goes, maybe they make a couple trades. Next couple of years, they could sign a few people. I could see them winning the division in the next 2-3 years, but for now, I see them sitting in the 3 spot. I also see 1 through 3 being very close here. Then I got the Cardinals. They're kind of in a valley of what the Cardinals normally do. They're usually pretty consistently a 1 through 3 team, but they just went through their stint for a long time, and now they're recovering. But they'll be back soon enough. And then the Pirates at 5, who seem to live there. Any thoughts, questions, concerns?
Nothing that is too outlandish.
Yeah, right. I think every take is reasonable.
Yeah.
All right, let me get to your playoff.
We also had the same NL Central.
Yeah.
All right.
I think the NL Central is pretty easy to sit there.
Your playoff takes are up.
All right. So I'll start in the American League. As I mentioned, I think the Orioles are going to absolutely blow the doors off the league. I think they're going to win like 110 games, take the 1 seed, 2 seed with the Rangers, 3 Twins. Like Jake said, they don't really belong here, but they have to because they won their division. The 4, I got the Yankees, and the 5, I got the Mariners. So I am saying the wild card games here. Jake said the Yankees are going to smack the Mariners. I don't think it's going to be like that at all. I think this is going to make Yankee fans everywhere sweat. I think they're going to start rethinking on whether or not the Yankees belong in the playoffs, but the Yankees are going to edge out the Mariners, advance to the next round.
I also had them in the ALDS. So that's
true too. That's true too. We have a little bit of a different, but I also have a feeling the Yankees are going to perform similarly to what you do. You just don't think the Orioles are going to perform to the level I think they're going to.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
So we're looking at a very similar depiction of a Yankees team in these playoffs here. And I think they're going to make Yankee fans very nervous in that first round against the Mariners. However, as you can see, spoiler alert, I have them winning it all. On to the other wild card game, the Astros are going to take out the only team that doesn't belong in the playoffs here. On to the next round. Yankees, Orioles. This is where I think the youth of the Orioles is really going to come back and bite them in the ass. I don't think the Orioles have had enough playoff experience. Like I said in the regular season, I think they're going to be loose, relaxed, playing a very good brand of baseball. But in the postseason, when things get a little tighter and all eyes are on you, I think they're going to collapse again like they did last year. The Yankees are going to take them. I don't think it's going to be a sweep, but I don't think it's going to look pretty for them. Like I think they're going to lose a couple ugly games. The Astros, Rangers, I think we see the same thing that happens last year where the Rangers take down the Astros. Like I said, I think this is kind of the downfall of the Astros. I think they're getting a little bit older. A lot of their wings in the starting rotation are starting to lose some gas, lose some of their movement. I don't think the Astros have what it takes to really keep going this year. Then I got the Rangers against the Yankees. I think this is going to be very, very close. Both these teams have a very similar philosophy of we want to hit home runs. Both absolutely swarmed with talent, but I think the Yankees are going to have a fire with them in the playoffs this year, and they're going to get back to the World Series. So now on to the National League. In the wild card games, I got the 3 versus 6 for Brewers Cubs. I have the Cubs taking down the Brewers. I think this is going to be very close, very interesting series. Both of them kind of in the same boat. I think they're going to finish with very similar records. But I think the Cubs are going to come out on top. Like I said, I think they're a little bit more well-rounded. For Phillies Diamondbacks, I don't think the Diamondbacks are all that. I think last year was sort of a fluke. They're a good team, but I don't think they're going to beat a playoff Phillies team, which is a very scary brand of baseball to go against. So Phillies advance. They get matched up with the Dodgers, who are going to get swept. I think they are the most fraudulent playoff team. It'll be interesting to see if Ohtani can turn it around.
The Twins are.
That's true.
Close second.
I said playoff team. The Dodgers. It's going to be interesting to see if Ohtani can turn it around for him because we've never seen him in the postseason. I feel like he's a guy that is going to show up, but is one guy enough to carry a team in baseball? And the answer is usually no.
Don't make excuses for the Dodgers when everyone knows they're going to lose.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying I think Ohtani's going to perform, but I don't think one person performing is enough to carry a team in baseball. Cubs versus Braves. I think the Braves are going to absolutely walk over them. The Cubs and the Brewers are good, but they're not on the same caliber as the Braves. I mean, this is a team I think is winning upwards of 100, 105 games, so I think they're going to walk through them. And then you got the Phillies Braves matchup once again in the playoffs, and I think Braves fans are going to once again have to live that horrible nightmare that they see year in and year out, and the Phillies are going to go by them. Then I got the 2009 rematch between the Yankees and the Phillies, and I see the same thing happening. Like I said, I think the Yankees are going to be on an absolute tear in this playoffs, especially after beating the Mariners in what I think is going to be a very close fight. I think it's going to light a fire, and they're going to run through the rest of the playoffs. And that's what I got.
Looking back at my player predictions, we pretty much have 3 out of the 4 divisional matchups besides the Orioles just swapped. So I can't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I think we got a couple things. It's a coin flip on how it goes in the regular season and who's going to match up with who.
I'm really curious to see Paul's player predictions.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Let's see the delusion.
We'll get to. All right, so my regular season predictions. All right, so
this is a Met fan, by the way, people. So
these are all biased Yankees fans having the Yankees winning the World Series. So
I'm the least biased Yankees fan that you know.
Yeah, that's true.
For me to come out and say the Yankees are winning the World Series really takes a lot. Because last year I genuinely was rooting for them to finish in last place so something would change.
Bias, never heard of her.
All right, so okay, so we'll get started with the AL West. I think it's really tough. 1 through 3 are all very good teams. I think the Astros will stay on top there. I think they still have pretty much the same roster. They had some injuries last year, and we'll see what happens. And I could easily see them slipping to 3 and missing the postseason altogether, maybe. But I still think they're going to take the top seed. And then I think number 2 is going to be the Rangers. I think they're going to have momentum. I think they'll be good. Hopefully DeGrom could play this year and play well. I wish him the best. I think they'll win, mid 90s, low 90s. I think they'll be a good team. And the Mariners, I think they're a very good young team. I just don't think this is the year that they're going to be putting it all together. They could. I just think they're a high 80s win team. And then the Angels are just not very good at all. They're horrible. They would be last if it wasn't for the Athletics, and the Athletics are just the Athletics are disgusting. Then the AL Central, it's just the battle of mid between the Twins and Guardians. I think the Twins take it.
Mid.
Yeah, the Twins take it, but it's really an uninteresting division. The Tigers are very, very, very mid, and then the Royals and White Sox are just garbage. So that's whatever order you have that in, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, at the top, it's either going to be the Twins or Guardians. I could see either one, but I'm just picking the Twins. I think the Twins would take it. I think they're slightly better. AL East, I think, is really tough because 1 through 4 are all very good teams. Obviously, 5, the Red Sox, is just obvious. That's like the most. I think the Red Sox being at 5 might be the most obvious division placement here, even more obvious than the Dodgers being 1 at the NL West. But
Not the Athletics.
The A's.
I think the Red Sox in that division are that bad because the Athletics could end up being better than the Angels. That's actually possible. But with the AL East, the Orioles, I think you're talking about a 100-win team this year. I think they're really. Last year, I loved their team. They were young and inexperienced. They got another year under their belt. I think they're coming in hot, 100-win team. Blue Jays, I think the thing with the Blue Jays is they stayed the same as last year. They didn't really improve. I think they won 89 games last year. And that's around where I see them this year. The thing with the Yankees is on paper and talent-wise, they could easily be top of this division. I think they could easily win the World Series if they're healthy. We're already seeing things with Cole. We're already hearing things about Judge. It's just if the injury bug comes, baseball is all about momentum, and when you have injuries, it's very difficult to get momentum. I think the Yankees will win around 88 games. I think they will make the postseason, as we'll see. But I think it's going to be tough with injuries during the regular season. And then the Rays are, a mid-80s win team. They're good. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a battle. Yankees fans are going to be sweating at the end of the season, when it comes to making the playoffs. And then the Red Sox are at the bottom. Then for the NL East, you have the Braves at number 1. I think they're a 100-win team as well. I think this year you have legitimately 3 100-win teams in the league
I'm
this
with
year.
you.
But yeah. I think the Braves are going to win about 100-something games. Very clearly number 1. Phillies, I think low 90s. Very good team in the good team in the regular season, great team in the postseason. I think they'll definitely be number 2. The Mets, I think here's the thing with the Mets. I think the Mets have, when their offense is clicking, they'll be, scoring a lot of runs. Here's the thing, their pitching is garbage, but in spring training, they had the best ERA for pitching. So I don't know, maybe there's something happening that nobody is anticipating. Maybe they can make a trade. They have some good prospects. They can go get some pitching. I think the Mets could get, high 80s, sneak into the postseason, as we'll see. Marlins are around the same as the Mets. I just think the Mets will edge them out. And then the Nats are pretty bad. And then for the NL West, I think the Dodgers are going to win the most games in the league. I think they're winning maybe 106 games. It's going to be a really, really good team this year. Diamondbacks, I think they're going to have some momentum coming in from last season. I could see them getting, I know they won, 84 games last year. I could see them getting, I think I could see them getting, 91 games this year. I think they're going to be, they're going to have momentum. And for the Giants and Padres, I think they're both, on the same tier, but I think they're both pretty mid. And then the Rockies, I'm not very high on. NL Central, I think the Cubs are going to come out on top here. I think that's pretty much the consensus pick. A lot of people, have, the Brewers are up there. I think 2 through 4 is really tight. I think these are all mid to low 80s wins teams. And
the Cardinals bounce back.
I like the Cardinals bounce back because I think they have good talent on their roster. I just think last year was just a down year for them. I think they're, I think these are all mid 80s wins teams, and it just really comes down to the end of the season what's going to happen. That's just how I personally see it. And then the Pirates at the bottom. So that's how I have that for the regular season. I think my only crazy hot take might have just been the Cardinals being 2.
It's not a crazy
it's not
take.
Crazy.
I mean, if things start clicking, they've got Carpenter, Goldschmidt, Arenado.
They have talent. Last year was just a down year for them. Nobody expected them to be, that.
Yeah.
Your crazy take is about to be the postseason because with these rankings that you just have, I'm so curious to see your ranking for wild cards, not division leaders, obviously.
So here's the thing. Okay, so we'll do the AL first. Yankees Twins. I think the Yankees are going to take that. I think the Twins are just there. It's their honorary playoff spot. It's the participation trophy.
We all have them with the participation.
Yeah, it's just the participation trophy. Imagine the Twins go and win the World Series. I would just love to go back and watch
We'll
this.
dig these clips out. We'll dig these clips out.
Yeah,
People, you heard it here first.
this
If the
video
Twins win the
scrubbed
World
from
Series, this podcast is done.
Yeah, we're done. Blue Jays, Rangers. I think the Rangers are going to take that. I think the Blue Jays are, I think again, I said mid to high 80s win team, maybe low 90s. They're a good team, but I think the Rangers just too much momentum. I think coming in from last season, I think they'll take them. Then you got Yankees Astros, and I just think the mental edge that the Yankees should beat them in terms of talent. I think the Yankees are a better team this year. I just think the mental edge that the Astros will have and the confidence in the Yankees also too. A lot of those guys are still there. Judge is still there. I think a lot of players on the Yankees are not really playoff performers, and the Astros are playoff performers, and they have the mental edge. I just see the Astros taking out the Yankees there, even though the Yankees, I think, are a better team. But
what I can agree with you there is me and Jake had a very similar Yankees team entering the playoffs, and you have a very different Yankees team entering the playoffs here.
Your Yankees team entering the playoffs makes sense for them losing to the Astros.
Yes, I would think that they're losing to the Astros.
I think they're going to have injuries up and down all year. I think they'll squeak into the wild card. And I think by the time I think they'll take the Twins, but I think by the time the series against the Astros comes, I think it'll be tough. And it'll be hard to watch because I don't think there's a single person in America that wants the Astros to win.
I'm not going to be okay watching that, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, it's like I'm not happy with that either. I don't want the Astros to win anything. But then with the Rangers and Orioles, I think that's going to be the best series in the AL. That's the best series, and I think the Orioles will take it. I am very high on the Orioles. I think they're going to be, again, it's all about momentum, and I think they're this hot young team that's going to come in and storm the league, and I think they're going to take down the Rangers. And when they take down the Rangers, they're going to be supremely confident going into a series against the Astros. It's kind of the old guard versus the new guard, and I think the Orioles are going to take them. I think that'll be a glorious moment for MLB fans. I don't think anybody will be rooting for the Astros against the Orioles. And I think they get to the World Series. I think 100-something win team, they're going to get to the World Series. So we go to the NL. And I have my Mets sneaking in as the last spot in the wild card, taking on the Cubs. And listen,
no comment.
When it comes to the Mets, I always look at the scenario of what would be the most physically painful thing to go through as a Mets fan. And the most physically painful thing to go through would be the Mets getting hot, right time, take down the Cubs. Cubs are not that good, right? Anybody can see them getting bounced in the first round.
Yeah.
Take down the Cubs.
Man,
we're hot. We'll get to that. That's the next round. But that's just, I'm setting it up. So then we got Phillies and Diamondbacks. I feel bad for the Diamondbacks because I really enjoyed them in the playoffs last year, but I just think the Phillies are going to be too confident going into the playoffs. They're going to be hot. I think they're going in.
Playoff Bryce Harper.
Harper. Him.
Too many American
Captain
heroes.
America.
I
think they're taking that.
You got boom ball with Schwer.
Yeah. So then we get to the Mets and the Braves, and I think the Mets are just getting swept, and it's going to crush everybody in Queens and Long Island. It's over. It's just, it's over.
Well, what's actually going to happen is Edwin Diaz is going to re-tear his knee.
Yeah, it's going to be something. I can't tell you exactly what will happen, but something bad is going to happen. It won't be fun. It's going to be like, because you have to realize the whole thing about the Mets is you guys are like, oh, the Mets are just going to be garbage, and that's it. You have to have you just got to believe. You got to have that factor. It's like, got a little bit of success. So I think you're going to have you just got to believe moment. The Mets get in, take down the Cubs, and then just get destroyed by the Braves in like heartbreaking fashion.
That might be a valid fact that you just got to believe, because that's how I'm feeling with the Islanders right now.
Yeah.
Slowly creeping into a wild card spot. Zero business.
Just have the heart ripped out.
Zero business. And I just know they're going to lose the last 5 games of the year and blow it. So,
yeah. So that's my logic with the Mets. It's, I just think that's, and I think talent-wise, offensively, it's not, like, if the Mets play to their potential, I don't think either one of you would say that it's crazy that they can sneak into the last wild card spot. if they play to their
I
potential.
agree. My one question though is you have the Mets over your other two options would be the Giants and the Cardinals. If you're seeing a bounce back year from the Cardinals, you still think the Mets finish with a better record?
I think it's within a game of each other. Like it's going to be.
Ah, you think it's close?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a nail biter because I think they're all high to mid 80s win teams.
All right.
So that's
I'm with
how
it.
I say that. And then Phillies Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are fraudulent. I think they're going to complain, oh, we had a week off of rest, so we were not mentally focused. And then the Phillies are just going to come in and storm the gates.
So we all got.
This is what America wants. This is what America wants. And that's what will happen. It's going to be glorious. And then the Braves and the Phillies, I think the Phillies own the Braves mentally.
I'm with it.
And it's
Damn,
like the Braves.
I'm the only one who took the Braves.
Yeah, and I think the Braves. Obviously, the Braves are a better team, but it's all mental when it comes down to playoff baseball. I think the Phillies are going to take it. I think they have the mental edge. And then we get to the World Series. I think you're going to have two very hot teams going into that World Series. But I think the young Orioles will take it in a 7-game series. I know we haven't been saying, what game or whatever. I think it's going to be a 7-game series, and I think because the Orioles had such a good regular season, they'll have that Game 7 advantage. I think they're going to take it at home. It's going to be a fantastic series. I think the Orioles will take it.
I think everyone's got several realistic scenarios. I could see any of these playing out. To be
this was
honest.
A way better prediction than the NBA ones. Well, especially for
me.
Yeah. But yeah, I
can see any of these playing out.
Every now you guys gonna put your money where your mouth is? You guys gonna hit up a parlay on division winners and all that stuff? You gotta do that.
In case you don't know how betting works, the Yankees are plus 300 or plus 1,000 to win the World Series, which means if you bet $100 on them, you lose $100.
But I think those are pretty accurate and very good predictions and playoff standings to wrap up baseball. I think it made sense. Every argument and every point made sense.
Yeah, for sure.
As long as you have the rationale behind why they're seated where they are and how you feel that they're going to be entering the playoffs, you can make the story for anything make sense.
The thing
baseball,
is, when it comes to seeding,
any given day.
Yeah, when it comes to seeding for those lower wild card teams, I think we all agree that a lot of those are going to come within a game of each other. It's going to come down to the last game of the regular season, and anything could happen. But anyway, we'll see what happens. We'll take a look. The MLB season starting.
Wait, I just saw this in all of our graphics here, and this just came to my mind here. It's going to be like playing with fire in the AL wildcard race because I feel like teams are going to want to be the 6th seed that play the Twins.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
That's true.
But the thing is, though, is baseball is kind of tough to half tank.
I know.
So
I know it is.
You can't really go and be all right, let's
just lose this game.
One game because one game might make you lose 3 and all of a sudden you're I don't think. Yeah, I know we all have them playing I know we all have them playing the Twins. I don't see I know what you're trying to say. I just don't see. There's no.
It's a lot harder to do.
I think the fans can root for it a certain way, but the teams themselves. won't.
That's what.
Yeah, even think about that.
Yeah, because personally, looking at these, I think the Twins are going to be worse than the bottom 2 or the wild card teams below them.
Yeah.
I think the 4 and the 5 are going to legitimately finish with a higher record than the Twins.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
We'll see, though.
But, we'll see what happens. The season's starting very, very soon, and we're all excited for it, so we'll see. On to recapping what we predicted last week for the Anthony Joshua.
Been that long already?
Yeah, versus the Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou fight. AJ destroyed him. It was. I want to issue an apology to AJ for criticizing his chin because all I heard was that Ngannou's unbreakable chin. First shot out of the box, down. Second shot, down. Third, out cold. I think I have to straight up apologize to Joshua for that, because to compare that was ridiculous.
I think it's just a question of a boxer versus an MMA fighter. I mean,
Yeah.
granted Ngannou fought Tyson, and it was his first fight, and Tyson didn't take it seriously, but it's a boxer versus an MMA fighter. Ngannou's going to have to start from the beginning. He can't just come in and fight Fury and fight AJ. Like, it just doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that in MMA. It doesn't work like that in anything. Sport except basketball when they were coming out of high school, and we all know how Kwame Brown played. So let's just go back and you start from the beginning, Francis. You're gonna get paid anyway. AJ destroyed you. He knocked you out with a straight right through that. Like,
it was just timing. It was basic timing.
It was brutal to watch.
Yeah, it was. Here's the thing. I understand from the perspective of any UFC fighter why they would want to get into boxing, simply from the perspective of money. I understand Francis. The best he made, I think the most he made in the UFC was what, 600,000 for a fight. He made 20 million.
No, he made more.
You can look it up.
He was in the millions.
Look it up. What his highest purse was for a fight.
His salary, the purse is now. Well, okay. Well, in MMA for UFC, you get a percentage also of the pay-per-view. They don't count that in the purse. It's in the contract.
Okay, well, he got a guaranteed 20 million for this fight.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying it's anywhere near.
It's nowhere close.
600K after his last UFC fight.
Yeah, so that's what he made on his last fight. He's making 20 million here, and that's the difference. I understand why, you would want that, why you would want to switch over to boxing. Because you're going to make a lot more money. It's common sense, and you're already a celebrity, so you're going to go, and normally fans of MMA and boxing are normally, somewhat fans of each other's sport. It's a similar sport. So you're going to have the crossover power where you're going to be able to cross over.
Ngannou's net worth jumped 10 million after the Fury fight, if you want to just put it like that. So between boxing and MMA as a total, he had one boxing match and his net worth jumped 10 million. So
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a money thing for them. From the boxer's perspective, they're gonna make a ton of money too, but it's also like you have nothing to lose. There's not a shot that you're gonna lose the fight. So why not go out there and make money? The only thing you're really hurting is your legacy. Where if you're Fury, his legacy is damaged now because of this. So that's that's the only downside is really legacy. But money-wise, you'd be stupid to not do this. But I think these events need to end, because I think this one just showed, you got to really just wait your turn. If you want to get into boxing, I'm not saying a guy that fights in the UFC can't become a boxer. There's no reason that he can't. But don't go out, if you're a UFC champ, go out, have a fight, go fight somebody who's, 9-5, a decent record starting out, Go build up a resume, go get, 15 fights under your belt, and then maybe challenge. If you go 15-0, then okay, maybe you're ready to challenge for a title or something. But you got to build yourself up. You can't just go straight into it. Your timing is not there. What we saw in this fight was a simple matter of timing. And when you have a guy like Joshua who's been boxing for probably, close to 20 years now, his timing is impeccable. You can't out-time him, and that's really what so much of boxing comes down to, because everybody's tough. People can punch hard, but when you can simply just out-time somebody, that's what makes a A-rated. Mayweather said this when he fought, I believe it was Ricky Hatton. It was a A-rated fighter versus a B-rated fighter, and you could just see it in timing. Oh, it was his fight against Arturo Gatti, because everyone was like, Arturo Gatti, the blood and guts warrior, he's going to come in there with his heart. And Mayweather played with him and literally pummeled him, and Mayweather can't crack an egg. He literally pummeled him. He destroyed him. And it's just timing. You can't, when you're out-timed, you're out-timed, and that's just the real difference here in terms of that. So I don't think anybody really has. I think this killed any interest that anybody is going to have. Nobody wants to see it.
So I'm kind of like jumping the gun a little bit, but you like put me a nice point for the interest part. So the next guy
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to like flip.
Yeah.
So the next thing we're gonna talk about is the Jake Paul Mike Tyson
Yeah.
with interest, and I don't think this is good at all. And like we were talking about before, like Ngannou got a lot of money paid from fighting Joshua, even though he got knocked out. These Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight is strictly a money thing.
Oh yeah.
And I think just if boxing is going to go in both these directions, with the MMA coming in and then the Jake Paul fighting whoever, an old timer, a non-boxer or something, I don't think
Jake Paul fighting the elderly.
I just think boxing is going to go downhill if this is the direction where they're going to go. And I don't I don't really think there's that much to say because I think a lot of people agree.
I don't think it looks professional for the sport in a sense. Like it's obviously not going to be a great fight in my opinion. I mean, it's not like you got two young guys in their prime swinging at each other. You literally have Jake Paul fighting a senior citizen. I'm not discounting Mike Tyson.
He was in a wheelchair as of 2 years ago.
Yeah.
With walking with a cane.
I mean, there's a chance he can still come out here and get one good hit on Jake Paul. I mean, the man can probably still crack somebody's face in half, but it just doesn't look professional in a sense. Like,
it doesn't look good.
No, yeah, it's not a good look for the sport. You get two of your best people who are young, strong, hungry to win, hungry to go for the title, and pit them against each other. Stop doing a social media podcast. Yes, Jake Paul is getting into the sport and he's getting a lot more reputation, but I mean, as a casual fan or somebody looking from the outside in, you're still looking at him like you got a YouTuber fighting an old man. That's what this fight is.
Well, here's really what it comes down to. It is I'll defend the sport a little bit. Boxing, the way boxing is it's a very open and competitive free market in a sense, where the UFC is top-down control, everything is ordered because there's other MMA organizations, but the UFC is top-down, everything's controlled. Dana White calls everything. Boxing, you have dozens of promoters out there, maybe about 4 or 5 promoters that really have a lot of control over everything. Everybody has the freedom to really do whatever they want as long as one of the main bodies is going to sanction your fight. You can fight. You can fight anybody you want as long as it's sanctioned, which again, I don't know if the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight is going to get sanctioned as a professional fight. If it's an amateur fight,
that would be
an exhibition
that'd be a disgrace if it was sanctioned by a real fight.
Not
gonna lie.
It might not be. I don't think it should get sanctioned because they couldn't.
If it got sanctioned, I don't know.
They're not gonna sanction it because first of all, Tyson. You have to realize this this is like any sport, right?
Not really.
No, listen. What I'm saying.
Actually, like
no. The point I was about. Let me make a point. Like any sport, when someone is washed, they're washed. Yeah. Celtic Shaq is not Lakers.
That's right. This is, in my opinion, this is like LeBron being like, Jordan, let's go 1-on-1 right now.
No, this is more like Dylan Brooks being like Michael Jordan. Let's go right now.
No, this isn't Michael Jordan versus Brooks. This is like Brooks taking like Wilt Chamberlain with the size difference. It doesn't even make any sense. Like,
Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah.
It would be like
taking
really Kareem. Exist? It would be like taking Kareem right now and saying and Mike Conley is challenging him.
Look,
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no.
That's what I'm saying though. That's the level of professionalism that this kind of reeks. It to me, this is not a good look. Am I excited to watch a fight? Yes. Am I going to watch a fight? Yes. Does it look good for boxing? No.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. What I'm saying is, there's 2 levels of boxing. There's the celebrity boxing, which that's just become a thing. Another thing that Mayweather ruined about boxing was bringing in the McGregor fight. That opened up the door to stuff like this happening, where now we have celebrity boxing matches. We just saw AJ and Ngannou. I think that's the end of the UFC crossover. I think that's done. I think now this is one tier. It's the celebrity boxing matches. People can watch them. They're not championship fights. If you want to watch championship fights, we have a stacked lineup coming up. You have, Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia, Tyson Fury versus Usyk, Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. These are fantastic fights of multiple fighters, top 10 pound for pound fighters in their prime fighting each other. These things are happening. Yes, there's certain things. I know there's certain ambassadors of the sport like Canelo who doesn't want to fight the best fighters. It's a disgrace. They get away with it because their fans will watch anything. People will watch anything. It's a disgrace. I'm the first guy to shit on modern day boxers. But at the same time, there are real fights happening, and boxing is an open free market. It's just people. It's not top down control, so you can get away. Something like this can exist simply because of the nature of boxing, where they can let anything that gets sanctioned can happen. And if they don't want to sanction it, just do an exhibition. We saw Mike Tyson 4 years ago when he fought Roy Jones on that exhibition. It was an exhibition where neither one of them tried.
Tyson. And that was an abomination.
It was horrible because Tyson. It was like a WWE match because it's very clear. Yeah. Obviously,
there's only so much you can say about I don't know. It's just I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just it is what it is what it is. Honestly, it's like watch it, don't watch, watch it or don't watch it. Who cares?
Yeah, and here's the thing: like when it came to that particular fight with Tyson and Roy Jones, was Roy Jones is one of when he was in his prime, there was a point.
I know they were both great.
No. Here's the thing about Roy Jones. Roy Jones in his prime on a given night could have beat anybody in the history of middleweight boxing.
Yeah, that's
in his prime. But now you don't.
No. Listen. Then all of a sudden he continued fighting. Obviously he was washed from when he got knocked out by Tarver. That was 2004. But he kept fighting somewhat consistently until 2018. This fight was in 2020. All of a sudden you're telling me Roy Jones doesn't know how to throw punches?
That's why.
All of a sudden, it was fake. It was so scripted. They didn't want to hurt each other. They're friends. Then you see 15 minutes after the fight, Roy Jones is like this in the interview.
If you watch,
he's gasping for air. That's just not. That doesn't happen. If you go run 10 miles, 2 minutes after, you're going to be breathing fine again.
If you watch Tyson, this is why I think it's going to be dumb, and this is going to be the last thing I'm going to say about this. Is because if you watch Tyson's workout videos that he posts on social media,
they're 3-second clips.
The 3-second clips, if he has that same cardio and same power and he could do that for 2 rounds, Jay Paul should be put on his ass. And there's gonna be some sort of clause and some sort of contract, and that's why I think it's dumb, and I don't think that this should be a thing anymore. The open boxing, I know you keep saying, oh, top down, it's stupid. And that's my
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I don't like it at all. I'm not a fan of it at all. I'm just saying.
Only so much we could repeat.
I agree. I think it's a disgrace, and I think people should stop supporting these things. But unfortunately, they will. So that's just what it is. As long as the demand
I'm gonna watch, because who's not gonna watch it?
It's free on Netflix.
I'm gonna watch it. Jake, are you gonna watch it?
I would. If I'm
it
drunk,
depends.
Tell me you're not. Look me in the eyes and tell me you're not watching.
When is it?
It's in June or something.
Yeah, it's somewhere down the line.
I didn't watch the Roy Jones one, and I didn't watch Logan Paul. I didn't watch a lot of them. I just can't. How I feel. I'm done talking about this crap.
Yeah,
stupid.
It is bad. I'm not looking forward to it. But anyway, any closing thoughts before we get on out of here?
Aaron Rodgers is running. RFK.
Yes. So wait, I was actually going to bring that up. Aaron Rodgers might be on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s VP ticket, which I don't.
What are the Jets gonna do?
What are they I'm saying? Doesn't I'm not gonna get in. We're not gonna discuss the politics of it, whatever. God. But what are the Jets doing? They need a QB, man. You gotta let them know.
Jake is so done right now.
All right, I'll see you guys next week.
Closing notes. Click all the buttons, share, subscribe. Take care, people. Till next week.